from the Department of Communication in Phillipsburg. This is 30 Minutes with Government with Cedric Peterson.
Hello and welcome to this edition of 30 Minutes with Government. The Department of Statistics will be embarking on a new project called the Household Budget Survey of 2015. The official launch of the project took place on Wednesday, January 14th at a press conference called at the Claude Waddy Legislative Hall, where Minister of Economic Affairs, the Honorable Claret Connor, called for the general public to lend their full support to the survey to ensure its success. And head of the Department of Statistics, Ms. McKinney Hickinson, and statistical analyst, Mrs. Saskia Thomas-Salmons, highlighted the importance of the upcoming survey as it relates to the strengthening of our economy.
Today I'm here on behalf of my cabinet to lend support to the Department of Statistics, who is about to embark on a very important project for the country. As indicated by Mr. James, Ms. Saskia Thomas-Salmons, who is the statistical analyst at the Department of Statistics, and Ms. McKinney Hickinson, who is the department head of statistics, is here to share with you a project that will start in a few weeks on the island. And as Minister, I would like to encourage the general public to support and to understand the importance of this project. The details of the project will be outlined by the two individuals that are here. I'd like to also acknowledge my Chief of Staff, Mr. James, who is joining us this morning. And yeah, as I was saying, that the project is something that I feel is important for not only the statistical department of this country in terms of gathering information that is important and vital to some of the decisions that we will be making as a country, but it's important because of the fact that it gives us tools to be able to make some of these decisions based on accurate information. So without further ado, I'll turn the mic over to the head of the department, Ms. Hickinson, to enlighten the general public on this project.
Over the past few months, the team at STAT has been preparing for the Household Budget Survey, and we are here this afternoon to launch this project to inform the public about it. I'm here also with the project leader, Ms. Saskia Thomas-Salmons. We have been hard at work preparing for the kickoff today, and particularly because this survey is very important to the economy of St. Martin. It was last conducted quite some time ago, back in 2005, by the then Central Bureau of Statistics, and so it is the first of its kind to be carried out by STAT. The Household Budget Survey is the instrument that we use to capture detailed data on the income of households, as well as what do households actually spend their money on, and what part of their income goes towards these various categories of goods and services. Why is this so important? It is because once we have a recent picture about the spending patterns of households, STAT can set and re-weight the basket of consumer goods on St. Martin. This basically represents a mix of goods and services purchased by the average household on the island, and it will be the basis for our consumer price index and inflation rate calculations moving forward. Via this household budget survey, we would have a fairly good idea of the total costs. Thank you. Via the household budget survey, we would have a fairly good idea of the total cost of the basket of goods that I mentioned, also how heavily certain commodities weigh within the basket based on what portion of the household's budget are spent on these items. Over time, STAT would continue to monitor how prices change, and will be able to report on the changes of the cost of living on St. Martin. These statistics are widely used and can impact various groups within our society, for example, to adjust salaries, pensions, rental contracts, etc. Having said this, we are here today to inform the public that we will begin this exercise with a pilot starting on the 15th of February 2015 for a 2-week period. During this period, we will be testing all of the practical aspects of the survey, such as the length of time that it takes to complete the various forms that we have, and it is a digital survey, so we will be collecting data via tablets. We will be testing the receptiveness of persons to the questions, the interviewer skills and the workload that they have throughout the 2 weeks that they will be visiting households. Once we have evaluated the pilot, the actual survey will begin, and this is scheduled for the 1st of April. And depending on the number of interviewers that we end up with, it will run anywhere from 6 to 10.
We're starting off with a pilot survey, as she explained, where we're going to test the skills of the interviewer as well as how the households respond to the type of questions that we're going to have in this survey. Specifically, this survey is to weigh the basket of goods. So for instance, as of now, for the Consumer Price Index, food contributes 10%, but as that was done in 2005, things might have changed, could have, or maybe not, but changed nonetheless today. So we have to reweigh that basket as it affects the consumer, the way the cost of living is calculated. So for instance, that 10% might change to 30% today. Now inflation in that category as a result would affect the entire inflation rate. So definitely the importance of such a exercise in order to have an accurate calculation of cost of living is vital. The participation of the household also, as a result, is vital because the information comes from the households in order for us to know how to calculate the cost of living. Households will be asked questions on all their expenses in all categories, from food to housing to what they spend on buying a car, what they spend on maintaining that car, to as simple as purchasing a pasticci on the corner. The household that are partaking is a sample of St. Martin's population. So in the pilot, we're now just doing a 2-week period, of which a small sample would be gathered, but nevertheless randomly over the entire island to test the workload that the interviewer can manage at the time, the number of households they can manage. And then in a major survey, which starts in April, there is 1,005 households that is selected. From the sample, all households will be informed prior to the interviewer coming to their house on that they are selected in the sample and asking their participation. It is voluntary, however we urge the population to partake. It is a very detailed survey, so the questions are quite detailed in terms of asking about your salary, asking about your last GB bill, to see that GB bill so that we can actually make note of the correct, the kilowatt usage and the cubic meter usage of water and electricity and how much that bill is. Please bear in mind, everything is anonymous. The data is not linked to your name. The data is kept primarily and only for the purpose of calculating an average that represents our country. So don't feel that that information that you give to our interviewers go further than the tablet, because once that is saved, they cannot continue to go back into and review and discuss your information with anyone else. The data comes in, it's uploaded into our database, and we continue with analysis. So there is no connection to you personally. Though the questions may come across as intrusive, it is very important that you answer as honest and open as possible for us to get an accurate perception of how households spend their money, and as well as there's a welfare analysis aspect to this survey. Questions such as if an expense is a burden or that you are able to manage with your income. It's important for us to know these type of questions. So We will be contacting the households prior to them participating and informing them as much as possible with regards to the type of questions they can anticipate, what is expected from both them and what to expect from the interviewer. The interviewer name will be divulged to the household that is going to partake on who to expect is coming to their household, so that you can start to feel comfortable and not, you don't know who's coming and the kind of questions that they might ask. So you will know this in advance. From therefore, you would start to make appointments with that interviewer. There's an average of 6 appointments that you would have to make with this interviewer over the 2-week period. These 6 appointments and can be a little bit more depending on how frequent it's possible within a 2-week period to make those appointments and cover all the 11 questionnaires that you have to go through. The 11 questionnaires each questionnaire is specifically for the type of expense. So for instance, one will be on transportation and next on housing, and it's down to the most detailed level, how much is spent on MOPS, for instance, for the past period. You have to realize that an interview can't go past an hour. The reason why, it's both you and the interviewer becomes tired, you the household. So bear in mind that multiple visits are necessary so that you don't get tired, they don't get tired, and the information quality reduces as a result. Additionally, the household will be asked to fill in and log all their expenses that they made throughout this 2-week process, keeping receipts, logging each of those expenses. So like I said, the pasticci on the corner, when you go to the grocery store, keep your receipt, ask for that receipt. As a result, we have a campaign which is Box That Receipt. You will see this poster in some of the major supermarkets and different stores. We ask you to keep the receipts so that we can help in logging that information and checking the accuracy of the way the information was logged, because ultimately it is that expense that is logged that we can use to reweigh the basket on what specifically you buy. Do you buy chicken legs or do you buy chicken breasts, for instance. So it's important to have this detailed information so that we know how to put together the basket of goods as it relates to the consumer price index. Additionally, let me see if I'm missing anything. Additionally, I think you have to remember that the household is partaking for a 2-week period. They start, the first week is where the major appointments will be to cover those 11 questionnaire, and the last week that you're partaking is for us to help you in logging these in your diary and pick up the receipts, and just to help the household. One household will be totally able to fill in all on their own, and another one needs more assistance. So you'll just make those appointments and become more of a family with your interviewer, because they're in your home on numerous occasions. We urge you to partake. It is important for you as a country, or for us as a country, to have an accurate cost of living adjustment rate, because if you get your salary adjusted, as Makini explained, or your pension adjusted, and it's not really representative of the increase in the cost of living in your country, it doesn't feel like your salary is making ends meet. So this is the basis in which we can accurately calculate that cost of living adjustment. So please.
The Public Service Center in Simpson Bay is under new leadership. Ms. Emilia Thomas is the new head of the center, and while speaking with 30 Minutes with Government, she took the opportunity to highlight what customers can expect when they visit the Public Service Center in Simpson Bay. When the Public Service Center was first realized, tell us a little bit about the vision and mission of the center.
The Public Service Center's concept started somewhere back in 2008 by a group of consultants, concerned civil servants, and stakeholders. I believe back then, government saw the need to basically change the way in which they offer services to the general public. After much consultation, and of course with big plans comes a price tag, and we needed funding to realize such a big plan. And later on, after discussing with USONA and government, they decided to develop the Public Service Center. However, the operations of such a center was to take place in the new government building, but of course you understand the delay with the new government building. So we had to make do with what we had at the time and create a scaled-down project in which Public Service Center Simpson Bay was created. And that pilot project, Public Service Center Simpson Bay, that branch was opened last year, April, in 2013, and basically servicing the general public, or specifically the public that resides over the hill, as we refer to it often. Our mission basically is to provide efficient and effective one-stop services to the general public, to our citizens and client, and understand that I make a distinction between citizens and client, because citizens may require recurrent products or services, and you may have a client that maybe need a product or service on a one-time basis. Our vision is basically to improve upon our services. Once we have gotten the gist of what it is that we want to offer and what we want to improve upon in terms of service, we want to do this through modern technology, because we believe that St. Martin is at a point where we can stay at home and basically order a product or service from government. And we need to basically move with those times. And it requires a lot of effort from persons involved in all elements of government, from the top to the middle to the bottom. So that is our approach, to engage everyone from internal stakeholders to our external stakeholders.
Since opening, how has the Public Service Center been a benefit to the people of Simpson Bay, Cold Bay, and the surrounding area?
It has benefited, especially those residents over the hill, very, very much. From the numbers that we saw dating back to its opening date until present, we have serviced over 30,000 citizens. So that says something in itself. I need to add, though, that you have persons who do not particularly live over the hill. They will quicker take a drive to Simpson Bay because there are hardly any queues, any waiting. You know, you go in and you go out, and you're served within, ample a few minutes, and by a professional customer service reps and our agents that at the respective departments upstairs at the fish market. So I think it's doing well. We have a lot of potential, and there's so much more we can do to service our customers, because we need to understand that we need to give back to them their very rare resource, which is time. We don't have much time. We are so busy, and there's no need for additional lines, additional queues, additional bureaucracy when we have a public service center that is there to basically provide that buffer between government departments and the public. We are there to do that service in an efficient and effective manner.
Is the Public Service Center different from the Civil Registry? If so, how so?
There's no difference. We consider ourselves just what we sell at the Public Service Center, at the customer care and customer information. That is the first point of contact to our customers. We want to strive to offer a single window approach, basically that you can come to a window and say, well, you can get all of the services. We are not there yet. So as it is now, we have a customer service rep, and customers will come, they will say which department they want to, or which product or service they want to purchase or be helped with, and our Public Service Center rep at the customer care will basically inform them of the prerequisites, the requirements, making sure that they have all of the necessary information before they proceed to either a civil registry or a tax department, for that matter, to be able to get information. Because at the Public Service Center's branch in Simpson Bay, we have, in addition to civil registry, we have the tax administration, and that is a welcome service, especially in that area. We used to have social and labor affairs, but due to technical reasons, we scaled that back with the intention to, again, engage them to come to the center to provide those services. We will also be evaluating what services we can bundle, because imagine we have a tax administration, and our clients will appreciate, well, I don't want to go into town. Maybe I can pay my SZV and my social premiums here. So those are discussions that we need to have with our external stakeholders, our other semi-government agencies. How can we bundle what it is we do to the public together, because we all need money. So we need to bundle our services, but at the same time, give professional customer service. And that's all what we sell.
Stay with us. You're watching 30 Minutes with Government.
It's that time again where we pay our motor vehicle tax and get our new license plate for the year. The following is the official price list, which includes the price of the license plate. For drivers with license plate designation M and P, you pay $287.50 for gasoline-type vehicles and $762.50 for diesel-type vehicles. For drivers of license plate designation SXM, MR, PAR, and L, you pay $287.50 for gasoline-type vehicles and $762.50 for diesel-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation Taxi, you pay $287.50 for gasoline-type vehicles and $562.50 for diesel-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation R, you pay $312.50 for gasoline-type vehicles and $762.50 for diesel-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation Bus, G and T, 35 passengers or less, you pay $287.50 for gasoline-type vehicles and $562.50 for diesel-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation Bus, G and T, 35 passengers or more, you pay $1,262.50 for both gasoline and diesel-type vehicles. For drivers of license plate designation V, with a weight less than 3,500 kilograms, you pay $287.50 for gasoline-type vehicles and $762.50 for diesel-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation V, with a weight more than 3,500 kilograms, you pay $1,262.50 for both diesel and gasoline-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation Z, with a weight more than 3,500 kilograms, you pay $1,262.50 for both gasoline and diesel-type vehicles. For drivers with license plate designation for motorbikes MF, you pay $207.50. For drivers with license plate designation for mopeds MF, you pay $57.50. That was the official price list, which includes the price of the license plate for 2015. Please be reminded that the deadline for paying your motor vehicle tax for 2015 is Saturday, February 28, 2015. Don't be late. Pay for your plate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the Department of Communication and the Tax Administration Receiver's Office.
The Ministry of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure are busy executing some critical projects which started in 2014. And according to Public Works Department Head Mr. Claudius Boncamper, these projects are to be completed during the first quarter of this year. While speaking to 30 Minutes with Government, Mr. Boncamper highlighted the various projects. Explain to us the floodgates and exactly how does it help the environment?
The floodgate is one of the three elements that were identified in the IHE UNESCO report on flooding that dates back to about 2007. The pumps was one element, the other element was the floodgate, and the third element was to hard surface all trenches coming out of the basin, in this particular case the cul-de-sac basin, to ensure we can get the water down very fast and pump it out very fast into the sea using the floodgate as the passage from fresh to salt. This was a project that was tendered since last year, in the early part of last year actually, and because of the capital financing not being available, It took a back seat, but it was one of the top-notch priorities for the ministry. As soon as the loan was approved and the funds were released, we started the work immediately. Naturally, there were some adjustments having been made to the projects. One, financially, we had to review if the price from last year stood in comparison to the euro, because the whole floodgate comes from Europe, so it had a euro price tag, and we had to see what that meant for us. Shipping costs, we had to review with fuel, and because of the fuel market. So there were some adjustments to be made, which were made, and after we got what we wanted, we came to an agreement with the contractor, with the roads. We signed off the working agreements, and we started building approximately late August, early September. We started building all the culverts. Those were being poured on site in the yards from Winter Roads, and the cubes were tested to make sure that we had the right strengths. There was no need to go and rip open the road to do anything as long as we didn't have all the culverts in place. Once we had all the culverts in place, we requested the public to give us a weekend. We showed that with proper planning, things can go the right way. The culverts were put in within 1 weekend. The road has been closed. Last night we put the asphalt binder layer on it. The final coat comes on after we have finished working around that area, because we are moving with a lot of heavy equipment. We don't want to damage the road unnecessarily yet. And we have to put in all the sidewalks and finalize utilities. But the water can pass. If there would be a torrential rain today, the floodgate itself will not be the issue. The water will pass from fresh to salt. We might have damage to the front of the gate because we are still working there, and we might have damage to the back of the gate. But the gate itself will not be damaged anymore. So the culverts, let me rephrase, the culverts will not be damaged. We expect the gate to reach St. Martin any place in the month of February, and then we will mount that gate with specialists out of the Netherlands. Once it's mounted in place, it's operational, very simple to run, which will be done by our crew that handles the pump houses and so. That in that aspect, I believe by the end of March, the project will be finalized. We are reviewing it right now that maybe we want to put on an extension right now onto the back channel anyway, and try to get it past the whole Musical Dow area, get it all the way out where there are no more houses, and from there we continue with the sand culvert into the fresh pond, salt pond. So we are looking at that yet. That's not part of the project fully yet, but we would like to do that also. And those discussions are now ongoing with the contractor to get the pricing on such.
That brings us to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes with Government. For video on demand of this and all DCOM programming, we invite you to visit the official government website, www.stmartingov.org. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Cedric Peterson. Thanks for watching.